If there's one thing we've learned about business and life, it's that people are the X factor. They constantly surprise us, both in amazing ways and not so much. We're Ben and Syya, and welcome to the Gnaw This Business Bytes podcast. This show is all about real life things we all deal with every day, how they relate to business, and how to make some sense out of our daily chaos. Welcome to the show. And welcome back to another episode of Gnaw This Business Bytes. I'm Ben and this is Syya. This week, I want to talk about Dell. A few weeks ago announced, hey, if you don't show up to the office, you're not getting promoted. Here's a newsflash, and people are going to be shocked about this. In principle, I don't disagree with this. I know Syya is going to rip an ear off on me on this one, but hear me out, because I think that people belong together. I think that there's times where we as a people, where we as a team need to come together face to face to be able to hash things out, to be able to communicate, to be able to work things out in a room, to be able to, figure things out, to be able to ideate, whatever we need to do. And that actually needs to happen in a live environment. Now, I'm not saying that people need to come together every day. I'm not saying that everybody needs to come together every week. But what I'm saying is that people need to come together. We can't be in a situation where we have a virtual team that we never meet, that we never see, and all we are is avatars on a screen for the rest of our lives. That I don't see as being productive in the long term. So, Syya, I'm ready. Let's gnaw on this.
Ready? Fight.
Uh-oh, she's got her fists up. She's got her fists up.
I don't disagree either, but you changed the premise, young man. Okay. The initial, I know, you just smoothed it over. So
I know, I was ready to see you just get your cackles up. And all of a sudden I just went, wait a second there. She goes, damn it.
Well, no,
he's
look,
right.
Hey, look. Okay, it was a sensationalistic headline, so I'm going to give credence that it was a sensationalist headline. But in order to get promoted, in order to excel in business as a rule, like if you don't come in the office, you don't get promoted. As a rule, you're governing that as a business, I think is a really bad idea. I do not agree with that.
But what was the caveats behind it? That I think it all is everything else. The devil comes down to the details.
But that being said, 100%, virtual teams do need to physically get together. It's 100% the reason why there's quarterly business reviews or semi-annual business reviews or annual, kickoffs, right? I get that. But we have to accept that we are a virtual world, right? So I worked on an international team. We had to be virtual unless you're flying out to Stockholm every fracking week, right? And granted, I would do that in the summertime, not in the wintertime. So, there you go. But like, in order to progress in your career and make an assumption that you cannot succeed being remote, I disagree. I think the quality of the work you have, the type of communication you keep, if anything, bolsters the opportunity for promotion, because it's proven. Because when you do meet each other eventually, you're going to bond and blah, blah, blah. But doing remote and connecting remote and being effective remotely, to me, as a leader, if I was a hiring leader, I'd say, oh, wait, this person knows how to get a team motivated, where it could very easily fall apart from a remote perspective, right? So to me, I think if you can communicate remotely, effectively, produce the results as needed and if not excel, I think that's like almost like a check mark to say, I want to investigate if I want to promote that person. So booyah on that, sir.
Well, here's the thing. Good leaders are good leaders are good leaders, and good leaders need to be promoted. There's not a lot of them. Let's be perfectly honest about this. There are not a lot of good leaders out there. There's not a lot of people out there that truly can communicate effectively, that can motivate, that can coach, that can mentor, that can sit there and get the best out of their teams, that can sit there and say, either in a remote situation, a hybrid situation, an in-person situation, be able to sit there and say, hey, listen, guys, we're a team. We're in this together. We're going to live together. We're going to die together, and let's get the best done. It's a lot of the times it's, I have this grand title. I'm important. You do the work, and I'm going to get all the glory. That doesn't work either. But whether you are the leader, or whether you're the worker bee, or whether you're the vice president or the CEO of the corporation, there has to be times where people come together. And I think that, I would really like to go back, and I would like to be able to read what Dell meant by that. What was the devil's in the details? What was the devil in the details that says, do people need to come together weekly, quarterly, daily? If Dell is sitting there going, hey, listen, you have to be in the office 40 hours a week, every single week. That's it. You want to be promoted, hell or high water, you got to be in the office. You know what? That's old school. That's 1950s. That doesn't work anymore. And I'm with you 100%. But
guess what, Sunshine? Yep. To some degree, I think it was 4 days a week in the come back to the office. Elon Musk has even said he does not like the telecommute mentality. He wants people in their headquarter locations, or wherever's their satellite site office. Okay, so this is where maybe it's a debate on this too, because I know it, like, there are companies that are trying to be flexible, like half in, half out, and they're trying to be accommodating to say, you get to choose the days you want to come in. So if it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, whatever have you. This is where it gets funky, because I have a buddy that does this, and apparently he seems to be on the off days of everybody else. And he's like, I'm in the office by my fracking self. So it's like defeating the purpose. So I wonder.
Yeah, he's on Zoom calls within the office because his entire 100%. Team's not there, which defeats the purpose.
Man, that is such a tough thing, because I get there are some things about the energy of, like, you and I imagine if we did not on this in a studio, like in person, it would be fracking off the charts, because there's something about the dynamicism of seeing each other. And I'm going to say it because I know it weirds everyone out, because it pleasures me to weird people out, but you can see each other, you can smell each other, you can like touch each other, you can hear each other. I mean, what was the other one too? I don't know. See, hear, speak.
I know, we'd be playing your guitar. Let's put it this way: we'd be grabbing props all over the place. We'd be jamming on the guitar. We'd be, I'd be bringing my bongos into the room. We'd, there'd be a lot of different impromptu stuff that you can't do over Zoom that you can do live. There are absolutely things within the corporate environment that you can't do. I don't care how many people look at a blackboard over a Zoom call. It's not the same as being in a room and ideating, and somebody says, wait a second here, let me just grab the pen and just jump up there and just grab something and go. There's not the fluidity as being in the same room. And I think that there needs to be a recreation. I think what we need to do is sit there and say, forget what was. We need to forget what was. We need to sit there and say, what can be? What can be? How can we reimagine work? How can we reimagine work in a way that is going to be something that people sit there and go excited, says, you know what? I'm going to be in the work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And when I'm in there, it's ideation sessions. It's productive. It's this, it's that, the other thing. And I have 2 days a week where I'm at home and it's deep thinking. And I'm not being bothered by meetings, and and I can actually get the deep thinking work done. But when I'm at the office, I'm with other people. I'm actually doing deep thinking work. They're productive meetings. We're actually moving projects forward, and there's productive stuff going on. Hey, I can get behind that. And I think that companies need to sit there and say, why are we coming into work? Not we shall come into work because we paid for these big, large buildings. We have phone systems, we have desks, we have insurance, we have all the things that go along with it and that we have to justify. We need to sit there and say, Why are we bringing people together? What are the things that we can't do, or we can't do as well remotely, that we can do when we're all together? And that's why we need to bring people together and sit there and say, okay, perfect example, IBM. IBM has central pickup locations in certain cities. They have certain places around the city where they have buses. And they sit there and say, if you're at the bus station at 8:00 in the morning, there's a VIP bus that's going to pick you up at this central place and take you to the office. So that last 45 minutes of the drive, you're being driven in an air-conditioned bus in comfort, and you relax, and your parking's being taken care of for you. So that the last mile stress is being taken out of the situation. How do we make things easier for people? How do we make it so that people want to sit there and say, yeah, there's reason for me to come into the office. I'm going to be more productive. My team's going to be more productive, and we're going to see better results at the end of the day.
Yeah. Look, I think we're on the same page on that. I think having that in real life, and we just talked about it, right? IRL connections, like a couple weeks ago, right?
Yep.
So that is, you can't replace the human connection, the human element of in interacting with one another face to face. Okay. Again, but going back to the premise of don't come to the office, don't get a promotion. That's what I want to go back to and nail down, because I do firmly believe
that's authoritarian.
Yes. I think it's not productive. I mean, the messaging itself just sounds very authoritarian, but okay. So let's look at this. If we were to ask the audience right now that's listening to us, you guys give us an applause or give us like yes, no. Would you prefer to work with a manager or a boss or whatever you want to call your executive leadership to be remote, or do you want to have the ability to meet with them in person? So tell us, you guys, remote or in person, or don't care. I'm curious to see, because, for me, I actually loved seeing my boss physically and hanging out, but that was because I liked my boss. Now, I have had other bosses that I may have not loved them as much, and I was completely fine they were across the country. You know what I mean? So, now there were still good bosses. We weren't friends. We were definitely professionals relationship, if that makes sense. Right. So I'm curious, guys, let us know. Cause that.
Oh yeah. I've had bosses. I was very happy. There's 3,000 miles between us. No, seriously. They came out once a quarter. I set up 100 meetings for them. Literally would pick them up at 7:00 in the morning, put them in meetings till 7 or 8 o'clock at night, exhaust them, throw them in a cab and take them back to the airport after 3 days. And I wouldn't see them again for a quarter. It was perfect. And you didn't have to worry about them, because they said, oh my God, he was so busy. Yeah. Cause I just packed you full of meetings for 3 days, and those were great. I mean, we didn't really spend any time together. The only time we ever spent together was in the car going in between meetings.
Right.
But, was it productive time? No, not really. But it was ticking a box. My boss got to say, oh, I got to spend time with Ben. I got to spend time with one of my recruits. And yes, he was busy. Look at all the high-end clients that he put me in front of.
Hey, by the way, side note, that was a tip from Ben for anyone in sales. If you got a boss in town, book their time up, like literally to the minute, you guys, because they cannot complain.
Oh yeah.
And you book them up with the clients that are good to you. Maybe one tough one to really keep them on their toes, but do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Breakfast meetings, lunch meetings, dinner meetings. You better believe it. We booked everything. And the beautiful thing was, they got to go back to wherever head office was. It says, yep, Ben's out there, and we met 15 clients over 3 days, and talked about serious programs. So he says, yeah, I might not have talked about anything else for the next 3 weeks, but over those 3 days, that my boss knew that I was busy.
Right.
What was that artificial? Absolutely.
Well, not necessarily.
No, my clients knew the game I was playing. Yeah. My clients absolutely 100. Knew the game I was playing. But that was reality.
You just made me think, though, when you have clients that are willing to play the game with you, for you, on your behalf, They are keepers, but
They're great
also
clients.
you're doing your job right? Which again
Absolutely.
goes back to a lot of times, especially for sales remote teams, right? You don't have the ability to always be together because the odds are the team itself is already distributed by virtue of the position, right? So I would argue for those that are saying, well, if you're not in the office, you don't get the promotion, etc. I do understand that if, let's say, for example, we transpose client into another business division or group, right? That or client internally. If you're IT, for example, everyone's your client, right? It does help to have advocates on your behalf. And a lot of that
Absolutely
can be done remotely, but it's so much tighter if you have a personal relationship, like again, like high-fiving each other. So I get it. I just don't like that mandate component. I think that's really what I'm fundamentally have a problem with is mandating 3 times a week, every other Friday, and you get to choose your days, but choose your jail. Like
I think here's my counter to this, and I think that we should really let everybody go. I have no problem with the days being mandated in the respect of is it keeps everybody in the office at the same time. It gets people away from you being in the office on a Thursday and nobody else being in the office. And all of a sudden you came into the office to Zoom with people around, with everybody who's not in the office. That's not productive either. If people are going to come into the office, everybody should be in the office on the same days, on the same team to be able to run meetings effectively. You come into the office to be able to do things productively. There has to be a reason to come into the office. We need to be, as leaders, as people who run teams, etc. We need to give people reasons to come into the office. We need to give people reasons to want to come to the office, to show their experience, to show who they are as individuals, and give them reason for us to sit there and say, this person is worth promoting. Yes, we need to be watching that outside the office as well. But let's face it, most leaders need to see these people face to face to be able to sit there and say, wait a second here, this person is worth promoting. That's a psychological thing. That's a handicap of leadership. That's reality as it is today. It's something that leaders need to be trained on. It's something that in the long term has got to be fixed, but that's the reality of life today.
So I agree. I don't like the mandating of it. That's all I'm going to say. So I'd love to hear the feedback from everybody else. And apparently so does my dog. She's like whining right now. So guys, let us know what you think. Want to see your comments.
Perfect. We'll let you go there. I'm Ben.
And I'm Syya.
And we'll see you soon.
Hey. Thanks for listening to another episode of Gnaw on This Business Bytes. If you liked what you heard, we most humbly ask that you like, share, and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to communicate more effectively within your organization, contact Ben at yourbrandmarketing.com or me at brilliantbeammedia.com. We can help you build your community, brand awareness, and personality through digital content and podcasting. We cannot wait to hear from you. So see you next week for another episode of Gnaw on This Business Bytes.